It's time for your worship song and scripture for today. So we're going to continue our look here at the story of Noah. So we're going to go to Genesis chapter 7. And Genesis chapter 7, we're going to do the whole chapter, so verses 1 through 24. So Genesis 7, 1 through 24. Here we go. Then the Lord said to Noah, "Go into the ark, you and all your household, for I have seen that you alone are righteous before me in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of all clean animals, the male and its mate, and a pair of the animals that are not clean, the male and its mate, and 7 pairs of the birds of the air also, male and female, to keep their kind alive on the face of all the earth. For in 7 days I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and every living thing that I have made I will blot out from the face of the ground." And Noah did that the Lord had commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters came to the earth. And Noah, with his sons and his wife and his sons' wives, went into the ark to escape the waters of the flood, of clean animals, and of animals that are not clean, and of birds, and of everything that creeps on the ground. 2 and 2, male and female, went into the ark with Noah, as God had commanded Noah. And after 7 days, the waters of the flood came on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, on the 7th day of that month, on that day all the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of the heavens were opened. The rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On the very same day, Noah with his sons Shem and Ham and Japheth, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons entered the ark. They and every wild animal of every kind, and all domestic animals of every kind, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, and every bird of every kind, every bird, every winged creature. They went into the ark with Noah, 2 and 2, of all flesh, in which there was the breath of life. And those that entered, male and female, of all flesh, went in as God had commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. The Lord continued 40 days, or the flood continued 40 days on the earth, and the waters increased and broke up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. The waters swelled and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the waters. The waters swelled so mightily on the earth that all the high mountains under the whole earth were covered. The waters swelled above the mountains, covering them 50 cubits deep, and all flesh died that moved on the earth, birds, domestic animals, wild animals, all swarming creatures that swarm on the earth, and all human beings. Everything on dry land in whose nostrils was the breath of life died. He blotted out every living thing that was on the face of the ground, human beings and animals and creeping things and birds of the air. They were blotted out from the earth. Only Noah was left, and those that were with him in the ark. And the waters swelled on the earth for 150 days. So, Noah had found favor with God, right? God liked Noah. That's why God chose Noah, uh, because of Noah's righteousness, because he followed God the way that he should, right? So Noah um, was chosen to be the carrier of the human race, right? His sons and his wife and his sons' wives went on the ark as it started to rain and brought with them all the animals of every kind So one of the arguments that I hear a lot is how in the world, with over, however many millions of species that we have on the earth, how in the world would he be able to fit all of them on the ark? And I've pondered this question many times. I've researched, tried to find answers to how this could happen, how this could occur. One of the best plausible solutions um, is that whenever they're referring to the term kinds, right? Whenever we think of taxonomy in science, we have classifications of animals, from the most broadest, which is kingdom, all the way down to the most specific, which is species, which is an individual organism. So, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species is how we categorize um, living things. So, whenever we're talking about kinds, my guess is that we're probably not talking about specific species. We're probably talking about something on the, let's see, probably the family level or even the genus level. So whenever we start to look at how living things are related on the earth, we can look at things like, um, let's say, domesticated dogs, right? Domesticated dogs, we can study their DNA and we can see that, they have a common ancestor in the wolf, right? So maybe it was the wolf that was taken on the ark, and then through years of breeding and domestication and um, you know trying to uh, the species adapt to where they live, we come up with all the domesticated breeds that we have and all the different breeds of dogs. We know that some breeds of dogs have been created by man. If we look at, I believe the teacup poodle um, was a breed that man had kind of adapted to make small. So you breed out all the large genes, and eventually you have this, little, I don't know, palm-sized dog, I guess. But you know, the reason I bring this up is whenever we look at this, does it really matter? Right? Does it really matter how those animals were on there? Does it really matter the details of how it happened? I would venture to say no, um, because the details don't matter, right? The details don't matter. Um, it's the big story, the big picture that matters. So, we can apply this to our lives. So, I went to the grocery store yesterday morning to try to, pick up some necessities. They didn't have some of the stuff that I needed, some of the stuff that I wanted, some of the stuff that was supposed to be on sale was out of stock, and, things like that that frustrate me whenever I go to grocery stores, but I went anyways. But whenever I came home, my wife asked, I said, "Oh, hey, how'd the grocery store trip go?" I went, "Oh, it was okay. I got some of the things I wanted. They were out of this and that, and I wasn't able to get those." Okay, not a whole lot of detail. Did she understand what I did? Did she understand how the trip went? Yes, of course she does. Did I put in all the details? Okay, so whenever I got there, the first thing I did was step out of my car. Then I closed my car door, and it was raining, so I put on my rain jacket. Then I put my hood up, and then I walked towards the store. Whenever I got to the store, there was 3 guys standing outside of the door. You know, they were waiting outside for someone, it appeared to me. Well, I entered in the store and there was this nice girl who was sanitizing all the carts and she said, "Hi, how are you doing?" Okay, so, I barely just made it into the store. and I've spent 30 seconds telling the story, where I spent 30 seconds before summing up everything, all the details, um, into the important information, right? We do this all the time. Imagine if every single detail of the story of Noah and the flood was written in the Bible. We'd never be able to read it. There wouldn't be enough time. There's not enough hours in the day, there's not enough days in the weeks, there's not enough weeks in the years, and not enough years in the life to be able to read it and to understand what happened. We need to move beyond the things that we can't comprehend in Scripture. Whenever we say that Scripture is, the breath of God, it is, the words of God given to man to write down, the stories of what God has done. We have to know that there's details that are left out. Right? We have to know that there are things that we just can't comprehend in our human brain. I can't comprehend how the earth could be flooded for 150 days, or it rains for 40 days and 40 nights, like monsoon rain. I can't comprehend that. I can't fathom that in my head. I've seen a lot of heavy rains. We had flooding here a couple years ago. It was bad, but I couldn't imagine that for 40 nights. I think I said 40 years earlier. I'm sorry. For 40 days and 40 nights. I couldn't imagine that kind of rain. Now it seems like it's been raining almost every day here recently. Seems like the April showers have moved into May, but that's a whole nother issue, a whole nother story. But so we need to take the small details and we need to kind of extrapolate those. We need to pull those out. It's not necessary for us to know every small detail. It's not necessary for us to be able to understand every small detail. A lot of times whenever I pray, I'm just praying, God, give me clarity in what's going on. Give me clarity and understanding. And you know what? I don't always get it. And you know why? Because it's small details. All I need to know is that God is at work in my life. As long as I know that God is at work in my life because I love Him and because I know Him, then I don't have to worry about the small details. Okay? I don't have to worry about the small details. They become unimportant. They become something that we don't need to focus on. Okay, so sometimes we feel like we're in a sinking ship, right? Sometimes we feel like we're on Noah's Ark, but Noah's Ark isn't floating and the rains are coming in. Probably a lot of us are feeling that now as we're at home and not doing our normal things. But we need to reach out to God. We need to send out that that warning flare and be like, hey, I need you now more than ever. So think about those kind of things as we are going to our prayer time here. You'll see the link below for our prayer song. It is SOS by We the Kingdom, and just reaching out to God and just saying, God, I'm here. Please be with me, right? And He'll be faithful if you're faithful. So think about those as you're praying today, and have a great day.